Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, it could be a fun just sit down video chatting about books that I think would be a great book to read during spring/summer. The weather's starting to get warmer, and I don't know about you guys, but I am not only a mood reader, but I'm a seasonal mood reader. So when the weather's changing, I want a book to match my vibes. So I've compiled a list of books and I've kind of categorized them in a few groupings. We have some romance books, obviously. Is it really a video of book recommendations if I didn't have romance in there? So we have romance, then we also have a few mystery thrillers. I'll be honest, I haven't been in my mystery thriller mood as of late. Like the past year, mystery and thriller books have not been for me, but I do have some that I think are just great books to start you out in this genre if you are wanting to read more. I've included some fantasy books. As you guys know, I'm really in my fantasy era, so I naturally have to include some in this one. And then I kind of have a miscellaneous kind of general fiction category, or just random books that didn't really fit into the other ones. So it's gonna be probably a chatty video. So I would grab a snack, a beverage, get comfortable, get cozy, and let's dive right in. Okay, the first category that we're going to dive into is the romance books. I do have the most books here out of everything that I've grouped, just because I think reading a romance book during this time of year is perfection. There's nothing better, honestly, than a nice warm day sitting by the pool reading a romance book. So I do have a list here that I feel like all of these books either take place during summertime or they're just perfect light fluffy candy reads to read during this time. The first book that I have here is You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This book is the quintessential road trip book because our main characters do go on a road trip together trying to uncover our main female character's grandma's like love story through these like adventure on a road trip that she envisioned on taking. And so we get to watch basically our main characters fall in love on this road trip. It's very scenic, and honestly I feel like a lot of people in the summertime do take a road trip, so this would be perfect to read if you yourself are going on a road trip. You may not necessarily be going to the same places as our characters, but it will be very atmospheric for you to read as well. And even if you're not going on a road trip, if you want the road trip vibes, definitely read this one. There's some forced proximity between our main couple that's just sheer perfection. The pining after each other is also great. They are a high school rivals to lovers kind of trope in here, and I just love this. I didn't anticipate enjoying this book as much as I did. It caught me by surprise, but there's several fun bantery moments in here. And again, there's also a nice family aspect in here. So if you love a romance that not only focuses on the relationships between the main couple, but also the family dynamics, then you'll probably enjoy this one. And I can't recommend this one enough. The next book that I have here is She Really Going Out With Him by Sophie Cousins. This is personally my favorite book from Sophie Cousins. We follow an older female. And when I say older, I'm talking like late 30s, early 40s, and she does have kids, but she's newly divorced, and she's decided that she's gonna try it out in the dating world, mostly because it's related to her job, which she is writing an article on what it's like to date in the modern age, basically, at a woman of her age. And then she kind of has a counterpart at this magazine where he's going to write his perspective, and he is slightly younger. So it's a very fun dynamic between these two, and this book is fun. It's silly, it's really lighthearted, while also kind of talking about some more serious moments, but not in a depressing way. What I don't love a lot of the time in a lot of romance books, the main heavy topic is grief. This one's just talking about more of the realities of growing up and how to figure out life once you have a family and that kind of dynamics. And I think Sophie did a great job of talking about that while still making it fun and lighthearted. Personally, this is my favorite book from here. Also, I just love the cover of this book. It's so dang cute. And this is not necessarily set in the summertime. There are a few dates that do take place in the summer, like spring vibes, like they're outdoorsy dates. However, this book is just really light and fun. I would call it like a fluffy candy read, like a popcorn read, and you'll probably fly through this. Like, perfect book to read while you're sitting out by the pool, enjoying some sun, would recommend checking out this one. The next book here is probably the epitome of summer in a book, and that is The Summer of Broken Rules. You guys, I feel like I've talked about this book kind of a lot over the years on my channel, but I absolutely adore this book. It is a YA romance, and basically we follow our main female character as she travels to the Nantucket area. I can't really remember if it's Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, but you get the vibes, the New England summer vibes. And basically they have this big family retreat every summer, or frequently, and they play fun games. So for this book, they are meeting up for a cousin's wedding, so it's a big deal, lots going on, and they decide to play the game of Assassin, and it's so fun. And the vibes in this book, the atmosphere, chef's kiss. This is summer in a bottle. Cannot recommend it enough. I know some people don't enjoy this book. I think just go in knowing this is a YA romance book, so it's not going to be that heavy hitting. There is grief mentioned in this one, and I know I just said I don't love when romance is focused too heavily on the grief, but I feel like in a YA romance, this was actually done, I think, in a very nice way, and there was a nice balance, and I felt like it was also necessary for the plot and what our main character is going through. So I love this one. I cannot recommend it enough. It's giving New England summer vibes, and if that is like, if you are a coastal grandma-esque girl, you'll probably enjoy this book, because that is literally the vibes of this story, and I can't recommend it enough. Also, the cover again, real cute. Now, would it really be a book recommendations video if I didn't include Emily Henry? I think not. So I included 2 books here. Personally, People We Meet on Vacation is not my favorite book from Emily Henry. However, it's still really fun. And if you are wanting a friends to lovers romance that also has a dual timeline where you can truly see them fall for each other, I highly recommend this one. Also, if you didn't know, this one's getting turned into a film, and it's probably going to be out within the next few months. So what better time to read this one, or maybe do a reread if you haven't done so yet. But this book is fun. It is also, I think, a very summery book. It's maybe one of Emily Henry's most summery books, if I do say so, even though she does have a book called Beach Read, which you guys know I love. But I decided for the sake of this video to include People We Meet on Vacation. It's also an adorable book cover, and I feel like most everyone knows what this book is about, so definitely recommend this one. Now, if you are also someone who's maybe not a People We Meet on Vacation girly and you haven't read her other books, then I highly recommend Funny Story. This is one of my favorite books from Emily Henry. It competes in the top 3 for sure. The main male character in this book really reminds me of Dylan O'Brien. What else is there to say? Open-minded. A lot of people bashed on this one, and I don't really understand why. People didn't love Miles, the main character. Just go in envisioning Dylan O'Brien, and I think you'll change your mind, is all I'm gonna say. So really love this one. Also, the spine of this one, adorable, obsessed. So naturally, I had to include 2 Emily Henry books. These are perfect books to read on the plane, in the car, sitting out by the pool. Maybe you're just out at a coffee shop and you're sitting outside for the spring summer day. So would recommend reading an Emily Henry book, or maybe doing a reread of an Emily Henry book. Next book that I'm going to share with you all is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This book is so fun, and I know not everyone loves Carly Fortune's books and her writing and her storytelling. This one, however, fun. It is lighthearted, it is silly. Also, Carly, in my opinion, is the queen of capturing the essence of summer spent on a lake or at the beach, and just also that innocence that I feel like Jenny Han's books, like This Summer I Turned Pretty. Jenny Han has a great way of, I think, capturing the innocence of a romance, and I think Carly can as well. And this book, I think, did a great job showcasing it. Yes, there was some miscommunication in the book, but honestly, I feel like that's so real life. Let's be real. A lot of us have miscommunication examples from our own silly little crushes and relationships. So this one, I think, out of all of Carly Fortune's books, was the most lighthearted and fun. It's set on the coastal town, and it's also giving New England summer, obviously. There is oysters and lobsters and beaches, and it's really the epitome of summer. All of her books do scream it, but this one, however, I think is chef's kiss, one of her best books yet, and I'm eagerly waiting for her new book to come out. So maybe you want to do a refresher, read some of her other books before diving into her new one. Carly Fortune books are truly a work of art. They are stunning. I am always obsessed, and you guys want to know actually how obsessed I am. This painting back here on my wall is this same artist who designs her covers. That is how much I love Carly Fortune's books. I think they're absolutely stunning, and I ordered a print so I could have it in my own apartment and just look at it all the time. So can't recommend her books enough. And this one's just really lighthearted. Once you look past the miscommunication, I think you'll enjoy this one. So again, it's also shorter. It's on the shorter end. You'll fly through it. Can't recommend it enough. Last book that I have rounding out the romance category is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Did you think I would not recommend this book, besties? Because wrong. I have to recommend this book. Also an amazing book to read during the summertime. This, in my opinion, is Abby Jimenez's best book yet. I know she has a new book coming out, so I'm really eager to read that one as well. However, this book, God tier ranking. I love it so much. The main characters in this, I feel like, are fully fleshed out. They feel so real. They really do remind me of Emily Henry characters, because I also think Emily Henry characters feel so real to the point where I want to look them up on social media. That's how these characters felt. They just felt very thought out, and all of their actions felt so realistic, and how they communicated also felt realistic. There's a lot of also family dynamics in this one, where we're not only watching these people fall in love, we're also watching them navigate how to deal with their own family struggles together, and how does that look like. And I thought it was a very nice way to incorporate those kind of conversations, because that is the reality for a lot of couples in real life. So this one's amazing. I'm sure you guys heard about it all last year. If you haven't read it, now is your chance to read it, besties. It is fan-freaking-tastic. And again, here I am gonna say again, this cover is adorable. Rounds out the romance category. All of these books are just fun, lighthearted, or they have very summer-esque atmospheres that would make them the perfect books to read during spring and summer. So maybe you're not looking for a romance book, you're looking for maybe a mystery thriller recommendations. I have 3 books here that I personally think are some of my all-time favorite mystery thriller books. So the first one is going to be a very basic recommendation, if I'm being honest, but that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelandes. This book is good and popular for a reason. I read this in the summertime, and I just remember having so much fun. I read it on the airplane. I quite literally, I think, read like 50% just sitting in one plane ride. Quickly devoured this book. It's really quick paced. The chapters are quick and snappy, the writing's digestible and easy, and it leaves you wanting more. That's the one thing I think, if a thriller is done well, at the end of each chapter, you're going to be left wanting more, and you're going to be like, one more chapter, one more chapter. And the ending of this, I think, is, I personally didn't see it coming. I know a lot of people have been like, it was so predictable. Girl, I think this was fantastic, and it gagged me. Like, I did not see it coming at all. So that's also something I really look for in a thriller, is if it does take me by surprise. Is it fun? Is it exciting? Did I see the plot twist coming or not? So it's a basic recommendation, but it's good for a reason. So I would recommend this one if you haven't read it yet. If you've been like, oh, it's too popular, I'm not gonna read it, check it out. I personally think that this was his better book. I've read The Maidens by him and I didn't enjoy it, but this was a fun time. Now, I do have a tradition on my channel, or just in my own reading habits, of reading a Riley Sager every summer. It just feels right. His books, I think, capture like goosebumps or spooky stories I tell in the dark energy of, it's a hot summer day and it's kind of falling into the evening time and you're reading one of these books. And so I picked out personally 2. One of them is my all-time favorite, and then one of them does fit the summer-esque vibes. So my all-time favorite is Lock Every Door. Now, this book I do think gives off more fall energy. However, if you're wanting that spooky, scary read during summer or spring, then this book is it. It takes you on so many twists and turns. Every time a twist came up, I was shocked. I didn't see it. And then like the last 15% of this book is bananas. I still think about this book all the time, and that's, I feel like, really a true sign of a good thriller book, because I feel like a good chunk of thrillers, I could not tell you the main plot or what happens, but for this one, I still remember it. It is seared into my brain, and I just remember having so much fun reading this, and I flew through it. Riley's writing is so quick and easy to read as well, so this is one of my all-time favorites, and I highly recommend reading it if you haven't read it yet. And then the next book that I'm recommending from Riley Sager as well is The Last Time I Lied. This one, I believe, is set in the camp setting, so we do follow kind of a younger set of girls going to summer camp, and someone mysteriously disappears. It's a big mystery, and then you kind of see it evolve throughout the years kind of thing. And I do remember the ending of this one having a fun twist to it. I just like didn't care for our characters in this one, if I'm being honest. I liked the atmosphere of being at summer camp. I think that can be a nice, fun, creepy situation. However, I just found our characters to be a bit annoying in this one, so I didn't love it. However, it was still really fun. That's the thing with a Riley Sager book, is you may not always love it, but you will have a fun time reading them. Similarly, it's a short one, you'll fly through it, and it'll be fun to read. Also, I will say, I love Riley Sager's covers. I think they're so unique. I know he's doing some like rebranding on some of them, so if you can get one of these covers, they look good on the shelf together, I will say. But these are my two recommendations on what I would read for thrillers for Riley Sager for this summer. That's actually gonna wrap up my thriller book recommendations. I know I kept them short and sweet for this category, and that's simply because I'm not in my thriller era, besties, and I don't know what's going on. I used to be a girly that would read at least 2 to 3 thrillers every quarter, and now I'm lucky to read 2 to 3 every year. All right, so be grateful I gave you some. Those are my favorites. Honestly, like, I may not have loved that Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, but it's still a favorite, and it's a favorite enough for me to keep the physical book, you know? If I really didn't like it, that book would have been gone. So those are my thriller recommendations. Next category we're gonna move into is fantasy. Now, I tried not to include too basic of books in here, aka really mainstream books. However, these for a lot of you might be mainstream, okay? I'm sorry, but I just think these are fun books to read during spring and summer. So the first book that I'm gonna share is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This book is a more silly and fun version of a Hunger Games or a Red Queen. I haven't read Red Queen, however, Hunger Games. This book I think tries to, you know, take in the games elements. However, this one is just fun. The banter in this one is top tier. The tension between our main characters is fantastic, and it's ridiculous. If you go in expecting fun vibes, then you will probably enjoy reading this, and I feel like it will be perfect to read in spring because the next book in this trilogy is coming out. So now is the perfect time to get started, besties, on reading this book. The first one I think is fun, the second one's okay. I'm curious to see how the third book will go, but Lauren Roberts does a great job, I think, of capturing fun, quotable moments that will have you also giggling, kicking your feet, screaming, and that's fun. You know, sometimes you just want a fun fantasy book. This is also YA, so it's gonna be quick paced. I feel like all YA books, especially fantasy, are really quick paced. Like, we just go running. We're jumping in right away into this world, and you're figuring it out along the way. And luckily, the world building in this is not crazy. It's really easy to digest, and I cannot recommend it enough. I've annotated this one because truly, there's a lot of fun quotes in here, okay? It may be a popcorn fantasy bubblegum read, okay? But it's fun. And if you're looking for a fun fantasy that's light, quick, and easy, then I can't recommend Powerless enough. And the next two books actually that I'm gonna be recommending are books that I read digitally. So the first one is going to be The Serpent and the Wings of Nights. Series, question mark. I know it's kind of done in like duologies, but it's a whole world, and I've read the first, I guess, 2 duologies in this world, and I devoured these books. I read them so fast, it kind of felt like a fever dream, if I'm being honest. Like, these books were just so fun. There's vampires, it's in a fun universe where you have like houses. It kind of gives like Hogwarts energy in the houses, but obviously it's like dark, twisted. Then there's gods. There's also a games element in the first one, so if you like a Hunger Games like trial type of book, then you'll probably enjoy this one if you haven't read it already. I feel like these were really popular on TikTok a few like years ago, and then they got republished because they got picked up by traditional publishers, and I can't recommend them enough. I think the writing's fantastic in this. Also, they're steamy, they're spicy. So if you're looking a little bit more spice in your fantasy books, definitely check these out. And I just loved them. It did feel like a fever dream, if I'm being totally honest, but like in the best possible way. So really check it out. All I'm saying is you'll devour them. I had a fun time. So that's the next kind of duology that I'm recommending in the fantasy category. And then lastly, I'm recommending Spark of the Everflame, this whole saga. I believe there's 4 books out right now, or there's 3. There's 3 books out right now and we're waiting for the 4th one. The 4th book is speculated to come out this year, besties, okay? Like, I am in the group chats trying to figure out when this last book is coming out, and I'm suspecting soon. Also, the Fantasy Fangirls podcast will be covering this book, so it's most likely going to be coming out soon because they're about to kick off the whole production, I think, on this one once they finish their Onyx Storm recap. So now is the chance to get in and dive in these books while we wait for the last book, besties. There's nothing better than waiting for a book and being all excited for it. And you can still theorize right now too on what's going to happen, because these books end on such big cliffhangers. If you are someone who loves high stakes, a lot of political dynamics as well, then you will enjoy this series. There's magical elements, yes, and there's like an upper and a lower class system that works in these. However, the political dynamics and just the societal hierarchy, very fascinating. And there's a lot of plot twists along the way. Also, let's talk about a slow burn romance. These books are a slow burn romance. So if you are a girly who loves the tension, you need to read these like now. If you haven't, move them up higher on that TBR because you'll fly through these as well. I swear, I binged these books so fast and I hadn't done that in a while, probably since reading ACOTAR, and it just was so fun. Imagine like on the weekend, you're staying up late, giggling, reading these books. Come on, name something better. Name something better. So I highly recommend these if you can't tell. These are really fun, and like I said, don't you guys want to be waiting for the next one with me and then we can theorize about them together? I'm just saying, that's really fun. So that's going to conclude the fantasy portion of the book recommendations. Overall, not that many. However, I did give you basically duologies and series to read. So I think that's plenty of books. Friends, we've made it to the last section of books. Now this is kind of miscellaneous, and I'm realizing some of these probably also could have been included in either the romance or thriller mystery section, but oh well. Oh well, okay, oh well. So the first book here that I have, I feel like is it really a recommendation video if you don't recommend an Ellen Hildebrand book? I think not. So she, in my opinion, is the queen of beachy summer reads. I will say, I don't love all of her books. If I'm being honest, I do think you're gonna have to try a few to see which ones you kind of like. She has a lot, so you have a whole universe to really pick from. I personally read Winter in Paradise, and I thought these were fantastic. It's a trilogy, and it's basically set in the Virgin Islands, and there's a mystery of having to solve what happened to this woman's husband, and who's kind of living a double life. So you kind of unravel all of this while she's, you know, discovering all of the mystery aspect, but then also rediscovering herself along the way. It's set in the Virgin Islands. Like, what more could you want? It's very beachy, fun mystery atmosphere. So if you want, you know, the summer elements of being at the beach while also having like luxury, like the woman's wealthy, okay, and then she's also having to figure out what happened to her husband's murder, like his death. It's a fun time, okay? If you go in with low expectations and just for the vibes, you'll really enjoy this one. And like I said, Ellen Hildebrand has a lot of books. She is probably the queen of beach reads. So there's a lot to pick from, and I feel like a lot of her books do have a fun element of mystery to them, so that's what I think makes a lot of her books fun. I will say though, again, some of the characters can be annoying in some of them, so you do have to kind of try them out, but this is one of, I think, her older trilogies that she wrote. I could be totally wrong on that, so don't quote me on that, but I read the trilogy and had a blast. It was really fun. Perfect book to read by the pool or the beach. Next book is for my friends who are Gossip Girl lovers, and yes, I do view Gossip Girl as a fall show. However, if you want messy friend drama, you need to read Magnolia Parks. I'm baffled, I'm speechless. I quite literally have never read a book with such messy and flawed characters and the lives these people live. It's crazy. It's very almost unbelievable, but like at the same time, you know, there's people out there who do live this life. So that's what I mean by Gossip Girl. Like Gossip Girl was like a little unbelievable, but at the same time, you do know there's those rich kids in New York who probably do live that lifestyle. So if you want something that's just very messy, very, very toxic, also in relationships, but then also friendships, then check out the Magnolia Parks series. I personally have only read the first book. I do want to read Daisy Hates, so that's on my radar. I'll probably read it in summer. These books are fun, and not that necessarily these are set in the summertime. It's just candy reading, if I'm being honest. These are very candy, popcorn, entertaining, trash reality TV. That's really what these books are. If you are someone who loves reality TV, you'll probably love this book as well. So I have it to read on my TBR list, Daisy Hates, but if you haven't read them, definitely start with Magnolia Parks. And yeah, if you read these, let me know what you think, because I always love seeing what people think about them. The next book is a book that I read years ago, and I honestly don't talk a lot about this author. However, this is not a favorite author of mine, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with her books. I do think they're a bit on the slower side. However, the character building and just the inner dynamics of all the characters I think is really fascinating to read. Personally, I loved Evelyn Hugo. I feel like everyone loved that book. Same with Daisy Jones and the Six. That one's a fun book to read as well. However, Malibu Rising is similar in Magnolia Parks of very messy, toxic friendships and family dynamics while set in California at the beach in Malibu in the infamous 80s, and it's very character driven. So if you are wanting something that's very plot heavy, high stakes, maybe don't read this one. Pick up the fantasy books that I've recommended. But this one, very atmospheric, very surfer girl, California in the 80s vibes, if you catch my drift. And if you like the messiness and toxicness of Magnolia Parks, then I would recommend this. It's not on the same level. It's definitely a differing degree of toxicness. However, the family dynamics in this book is crazy. So that's why I recommend it. Also, it's set at the beach. Come on. California, Malibu, what more could you ask for a summer, spring read? That I have to recommend, this one is a book that could have fallen into my romance books, I'm realizing, but that's Red, White, and Royal Blue. Again, this book was popular back in the day on TikTok. I feel like it's a staple in the book talk community, and it's rightfully so. The banter in this one's fabulous. The dynamics between our male characters, perfection. And if you love just tension and just will they or won't they, I love this one. Also, there's just the political dynamicness of having the president's son, the king's son, the inner dynamics of that, and the messiness and just the realities of that. Also, there is a movie on Amazon, in case you didn't know, and it's really fun as well. This is, I think, a perfect book to also read by like the pool, by the lake. They do go to a lake in Austin. So again, kind of summer vibes, if you know what I mean, and it's a fun time. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like I don't talk about this book enough, but it is fun and popular for a reason. The movie is cheesy, but like, who doesn't love a good cheesy rom-com? So really would recommend this one. If you've never read it, or if it's been on your TBR for a really long time, maybe bump it up this summer and enjoy it. Hey guys, I probably rambled a lot, but I shared all of the books that I thought could be perfect to read during spring, summer. I'm very much a seasonal mood reader, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. So if I pick up any fun books along the way, I'll make sure to share them with you guys. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments below some of your favorite seasonal spring summer reads that you have read or that you're looking forward to reading this year, because I'm always looking to add to my TBR, as you guys know. So definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next time that I post, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye guys.